signs an agency agreement. Now, this is not from the perspective of, and I know I've talked about it a million times about that an assistant agent or a certificate of registration holder can't hold a vendor or a landlord to an agency agreement, and it has to be countersigned by a licensed agent. Not talking about that today. What I am talking about is from the other side. Your vendor, your landlord, your buyer, if you're signing buyer's agency agreements, so whoever that is that's signing that agreement, if the property that you are dealing with is, or the person that is buying is a company, then, or you're selling a business and it is in a company name, you actually need to make sure that the person signing the agreement is a director or has the authority from a director of that company to sign that agreement. So how do you go down that path? How do you know that it's owned by a company? Well, obviously you are getting your fraud prevention identity checks done, and that shows you're obviously getting personal identification, both from a photo ID perspective and from other forms of personal ID from people. And then, of course, that third part of that ID checklist is proof of ownership of the property. So when you start getting rates notices or extracts from title deeds or a front page of a sales contract, it's going to show you that the property is owned by a company. Now here, ask the people that you're dealing with to give you an ASIC extract of who the directors are of the company. I mean, if they're not prepared to do that, then you've got to ask yourself why. If they're not prepared to do that because it's going to cost them however many, $20 or whatever that cost happens to be, then perhaps once you've got the listing, you go back and do that ASIC search yourself to make sure that the person signing the agency agreement on behalf of that entity actually has the authority to do so. So they're either a director on that day that they signed that agency agreement, or they have written authority from someone who is a director of that organisation, of that entity on that specific day. So guys, just protect yourselves. This is about protecting your commission. This isn't really about anything other than that. And of course, yes, you've got to go down the path of getting all of the personal identification documents of the person who's signing it, who is a director of the company. That's, another task really within the listing process. But this one is just about making sure that the person who is signing the agency agreement has the authority to do so. And at the end of the day, when you've done your job, you've done it well, or you've managed a property from a property management or a leasing perspective for commercial and retail and industrial properties, that no one's going to turn around and say, well, the agency agreement's signed by someone who didn't have the authority, we're not going to pay you. That's going to hurt. So guys, make sure right at the beginning of the deal you get this information correct and protect yourself on the way through. And you're going for a much smoother sailing in terms of how that's going to process along the way.